Hey, friends. Several years ago, my husband and I were on vacation somewhere, and we were headed to church, and we had just got in the Saturday night before. We were going to go to church that Sunday morning with a friend, and my husband had forgot to pack his comb. So off to Walmart he goes that Sunday morning, and he's gone much longer than he should be. And so I'm sitting back at the hotel room getting antsy because he's not there. And then he comes back, and I'm like, we're going to be late. We're going to be late. All the way there. And then we hit this intersection where there's been an accident. And I didn't say anything more about being late. Actually, I thanked God we had been late because that could have been us. We missed the accident by being late. And I'm sure you have a similar story. God protects us in many ways. His hand of protection is something we need to be thankful for. So today, as we dig deeper into spiritual warfare in the first chapter of the book of Job, we are looking at three more lessons we can learn. And let's start reading in verse 9, the end of verse 9 here. Satan is in heaven talking to God. And again, I apologize for my reading because I'm blind, so I have to listen and then speak. So Satan answered the Lord and said, does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not made a hedge around him, around his household, and around all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But now stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. So we see two things here. We are already learning two things. We see, first of all, that God puts a hedge around us. God protects us. He has a hedge around us. He protects us in many ways. It could be by being late. It could be just a variety of ways that he protects us. So you often hear people praying for a hedge to be protected, be put around someone. That is a biblical prayer. And this is probably where it comes from. Another thing we see here is the reason for spiritual warfare. The reason we are targets of spiritual warfare are because we are Christians and because he wants us to doubt God, to curse God, to turn our backs on God. It's got nothing to do with us. Now, I know almost every author and speaker that I know of goes through spiritual warfare, whether they are a tiny author with a tiny readership like me, or if they're a New York Times bestseller. And the reason is, it's not because one is doing something great and the other one is not or anything. I have often wondered, why is Satan after me? Because every time I go to write a book, and especially to publish a book, I go through warfare. And I see the reason. It's not because of the people I'm going to reach and all that. That's part of it. But the point is, I have a C on my back for Christian, and that is a target. You, as a Christian, you are a target. The reason he attacks us with spiritual warfare is because we are Christians, and he wants us to do what he did when he was the angel Lucifer. He wants us to turn against God. That's what this is all about. Let's pick up reading in verse 12. And the Lord said to Satan, behold, all that he has is in your power. Only do not lay a hand on his person. See the limits that God put on Satan? That is our final point. God permits Satan to harm us, but only to go so far. And the reason is because God is going to prove Satan wrong about Job. Is he going to prove Satan wrong about you and me? when we go through our attacks. So, what can we do with this information? One, and the main thing, I think we can thank God. We can thank God for the limits that He has put on us. I mean, I've complained a lot about the complications from my surgery, neuropathy, restless leg syndrome, nerve pain, nerve damage, but I didn't have the bad ones, the pneumonia, the blood clots, huge amounts of blood loss. I didn't have all those things because God put a limit on there. What has God limited in your life? What can you thank Him for? What hedge of protection can you pray for? What protection can you thank Him for? Maybe it was a time you were running late. Maybe you missed a plane or something. Think of the people that missed the plane on 9/11. So there are so many things here we see today that we can give God thanks for. And again, this helps us see how to pray for that hedge of protection. And to understand why the enemy attacks us and not to be so blinded by the fact and say, well, Satan isn't going to come after me. He's busy with big people. Yeah, but he's got an army of demons that are working, and they're working on every single one of us, friend. So I'm going to put the links to last week's video. So if you missed it, you can go back and watch it and catch up on all this. And we'll continue next week into some more deep diving on spiritual warfare from Job. And then we'll be moving into some other things about spiritual warfare. Because when you are fighting a chronic pain or chronic illness or any kind of suffering, but those in particular, you are fighting warfare. You are fighting warfare because it is hard. It is very hard, I know. Also, the link to my book, Embers of Endurance, Rising Above Chronic Pain and Illness, is in the description. Thank you and be blessed and praise the Lord for His hand of protection, my friend.